What is going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome back to another edition of the Phaithful Phanatics Show. As always, we are live here on the DSM-Media Twitter page. You can find us at DSM_media there, so make sure to hit that follow button. And then we're also live on the DSM Philadelphia YouTube channel. The link tree in our bio on Twitter will take you directly to the YouTube channel. So do us a favor, do yourself a favor. Make sure to check that out. Subscribe, share it with your friends, family, any other Philadelphia sports fans that you may know that could enjoy the content and continue to help us grow. I'm one half your host, Dylan Davis. To my left, my faithful co-host, Scotty. A lot to talk about, man. All three teams getting involved in the show today. I see the Flyers cap is on. They're back in action tomorrow at 12:30. But the Phillies continue to make moves since our last show. Dave Dombrowski goes out and signs right-handed reliever Brad Keller from the Cubs last year to a 2-year, $22 million deal. Following that, last night, Jeff Passan of ESPN reported that likely Matt Stahm was going to be traded as of this morning. Dave Dombrowski and the Phillies deal Matt Stahm to the Kansas City Royals for a Jonathan Bolin. Now, obviously, that is not a talent-for-talent swap. The Phillies lose heavily in that department. However, this opens up about a $7.5 million on the payroll. Now, that could be one of two things. Another move is coming, which I think that's what every fan is hoping for and crossing their fingers for. Or John Middleton's being a little cheapy, and they're trying to get back towards that apron, towards where they were, towards where their cap was last year to avoid paying some in tax. So let's hope for the first thing that I mentioned there. The Birds in action tomorrow, Saturday, 5 o'clock. So weird, man. So weird. But they can clinch the NFC East division against the Commanders tomorrow in Washington. We're going to talk about that game. And the Sixers also, after a short hiatus again, while the NBA Cup was taking place, taking on the NBA Cup champions, New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden tonight. Big test, Sixers 3.5-point underdogs. Joel Embiid, questionable, I believe, a game-time decision. We're hoping he's a go, as well as Paul George and Tyrese Maxey. So big test at hand, my man. Long intro, but we're finally here. What is going on? Happy Friday.
All good. Appreciate you on the intro, my man. Happy Friday. You hit the nail on the head with the agenda here. There's a ton to get into, so I'm not going to waste too much time here at the beginning. But happy Friday, brother. We got a busy weekend ahead of us. We'll be back for Turf Talk on Sunday. No Eagles pregame tomorrow. It's Saturday. It's weird. People got shit to do on Saturdays. Yeah. So, it's hard enough trying to fit. And I say this very lightly, jokingly. It's very hard to fit the Eagles game into your Saturday at 5 p.m. You can't do anything all day, basically. So yeah, it's going to be a fun Saturday. I'm looking forward to just enjoying all of the sports Saturday, tomorrow. Man.
Yeah,
you got college football starting around noon. You got the Flyers at noon, 12:30, right? And then from there on, you're just covered for the day.
Yeah, there's great. Obviously, you have college football playoffs going on all throughout the afternoon tomorrow. Yeah. You mentioned there's great college basketball matchups, top 25 matchups. You mentioned earlier Duke, Texas Tech, Auburn, Purdue. Arkansas, Houston. I know Kentucky's not ranked anymore, but St. John's at Kentucky tomorrow at noon. So a lot going on. The Sixers play tomorrow night as well on a second hand back-to-back. So if you like Philly sports, if you like sports in general, this is the place to be right now, man. Let's start with the Phillies news, because that's kind of where we left things off the other day, and pick right back up here. So let's start with the Brad Keller signing in itself. Brad Keller from the Cubs last year. If you go back and look at his career statistics, you're not going to fall in love. Why is that, Scotty? Because this was a guy that started out in a starting role. He's one of those guys, it just didn't pan out. Now, maybe Chicago got the most out of him last year. Maybe that's it, and he's not going to replicate what he was able to accomplish last year. But this was a guy that pitched in 68 games for a playoff team and carried a 2.07 ERA across the season with less than a 1 whip. He only gave up 16 earned runs in 68 games pitched. I think it was over 70 total innings pitched last year. His fastball sits around 98. It's active. It's lively. You add that to Alvarado. You add that to Duran. I know we have a bad taste about Kirkering, but he pumps 100. The back end of this Phillies bullpen adds another guy from the right-hand side, right? That can come in a 7th or 8th inning in a tight situation and get you out of a jam and pump. I love the signing in itself. What that meant today, we'll get into in a couple of minutes. You know, people are going to be upset about that kind of second transaction there. But the Brad Keller move in itself is a very nice option, a very nice addition from Dombrowski to the back end of this pen.
Yeah, no, I thought that when you texted me about it, you gave me the complete rundown as soon as we heard about this move. And I think it just kind of points to what the Phillies are trying to do. I think, you brought Schwarber back. That's going to keep the core intact, but there's these other pieces surrounding the team that you're going to have to kind of interchange. Some of them are going to be tough to move on from, right? Even the Castellanos thing with bringing in Garcia, right? There's still an emotional attachment to Castellanos. He had some big moments in the playoffs, right? There's people out there that are going to be sad seeing him leave the Phillies. And I think the same thing with Stahm. Now, I do kind of throw this back to you because I lean on you for more of the baseball knowledge, I would say, in this show than myself. When you look at Brad Keller compared to a Matt Stahm that's going out, are they equal pieces in your eyes? Is one better than the other? Because I guess from my view, my perspective, I'm looking at it as just trying something different, trying something new.
So better. That's going to be very difficult for me. Obviously, I have to see how Keller, performs this year. Stahm has kind of just been Mr. Consistent since coming over here. Obviously, in what 23? Where he was starting for this team kind of as an opener the first couple weeks of the season because they needed him because of injuries. And then obviously was thrusted into the bullpen, which was supposed to be the primary thing to begin with. And he's pitched anywhere from the 6th inning to the 9th inning, and he's got major outs in big spots in the postseason. Had a 1.87 in 24. I believe he was an all-star. I could be off there in 2024, and he posted a 2.74 last year. So Matt Stahm has been a very important piece to this Phillies team. Now, when you get into 68 games pitched last year to a 2.07 and a less than a 1 whip, Keller was the better pitcher last year, right? The thing is, you mentioned different, not just in the case of kind of reconstructing this roster a bit, but also Alvarado's a lefty. Banks is a lefty. Now, whether you get the same version of Tanner Banks this year that you got last year, who was very stable for you, I don't know. And Tanner Banks is not as good as Matt Stahm, but you weren't going to get the value and Tanner Banks doesn't make nearly what Matt Stahm was making.
Yeah.
So that's why this move is for that. So you have Alvarado, you have Banks, you brought in a righty. That 7th, 8th inning lefty wasn't needed. That sounds wrong. That sounds disrespectful to Matt Stahm, but do you get what I'm trying to say, right? You have Duran's a righty, Kirkring's a righty, Keller's a righty. Those are all going to be higher leverage guys. Kirkring obviously knocked down a pedestal. Alvarado, high leverage lefty. Banks can be a high leverage lefty. That back end is solidified. Stahm makes the most money from that side of the mound.
Yeah.
You're going to get a little bit more value. They did bring a right-handed reliever back with them who can eat innings for them as well, who should make this roster in Bolin. So that's why it makes sense. Obviously, any fan has the right to be upset because Matt Stahm has been very stable for this bullpen and for this team. It sucks to see him go. With that said, it has to be a move leading to the next move. This cannot just be a money saver. This cannot just be a money eater to get John Middleton down towards the tax of last year and where they wanted to be and blah, blah, blah. That is a loser move. We all know this. There is no salary cap in baseball. You can pay whatever you want. You just got to be willing to dish it out and dish the luxury tax when you get to certain levels. If you're trying to save $7.5 million to bring you back down here, while the Dodgers continue to be a juggernaut, then that really pisses me off. So this Matt Stahm move, Keller, I give it a B+ to an A. I really like the signing, can pump from the right-hand side out of this bullpen. It was great last year. Stahm trade itself, don't like it. Stahm trade to bring in to make room for whatever it is, a position player, whatever, like it a lot more. So Dombrowski and Middleton have to follow up from this point.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. The interesting thing, I'm reading this. I was reading this ESPN article as you were talking there, and first of all, they give the move an A-, signing
for the
Brad
for
Keller.
Keller.
Yeah, for Keller. And they also mention they think that the Phillies could consider like maybe integrating him into like a starter role. I don't know. Like
Maybe that's because of his history as a starter, and if you need a guy that can do that, but no, I don't think that's the plan,
right.
like at all for him.
Right. Yeah, I just thought that was weird that they would mention it. They made like a reference to Clay Holmes from the New York Mets and what they did with him, but I just don't see why. He was having success in that role with the
And to be
Royals.
honest,
Why
he
move
hasn't had
him?
success in a starting role. I mean, the
Right.
dude lives in the mid to high fours as a starter on bad teams in the past. Now, granted, it was the White Sox and the Royals of years ago, so who knows, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, and for what reason? You have the depth at
That's
start.
what I was going to say.
Even with Ranger moving on, you're talking about Wheels coming back, Sanchez, Luzardo, Nola. And if, like I said to you the other day, if Justin Crawford is planned to be the center fielder for this team, then Andrew Painter better be the fifth or fourth starter for this team. Yeah. Like if Justin Crawford's ready, Andrew Painter needs to be fucking ready. So, and you still have Taiwan. There's no need to make.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, that just didn't make sense to me. But yeah, it sounds like an exciting move, man. We just, like you said, we need the Phillies to continue to follow up, stay active throughout this off season. But I would say, at least they're making efforts to make changes. They have locked in Schwarbs.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because I'm glad you brought that up, and I see a lot of division between the fan base, and I truly don't know where I am at this point. For this question, you mentioned changes, and change is needed, change is good, and the offseason is long from over, right? Moves are would imagine are going to be made still. Just because they're making changes, how do you feel? Do you think the Phillies are a better baseball team today than when they ended the season against the Dodgers? So change is good. Obviously, I think you and I, like, people are questioning, right? Adolis Garcia, it's new. Castellanos needs to change of scenery. Garcia's pop, his defense is great. If he hits in the 220s, is he better than Nick Castellanos, who hits in the 250s, 260s, right? Who hits 20 home runs? They brought Schwarber back. You replace Stahm with Keller. Change is good. I do like what Dombrowski has done so far, but does that mean they're better? They're in a better position than when their season ended a few months ago?
It's a great question. Yeah, I don't know that I answered to that, quite honestly, when I think about it. I think you just have to go with the different approach because of the way the results have played out the last few years. Like, and it can't be a different approach when you talk about the lineup, or at least the top of that lineup. So then I guess you just have to start making changes in the margins and trying something different than what you tried in the past, I guess. But to your point, change doesn't always mean that it's going to be better. So it's kind of have to just wait and see, right?
It's a difficult spot, man. And honestly, what I'm starting to think about, and great guy, we got to take a picture with him at a couple games ago that we went to together. But I'm starting to wonder about John Middleton, because obviously the Phillies spend. I'm not trying, let's not get that twisted. Everyone gets mad. Oh, blah, blah, blah. He's being cheap. They're top 3 or 4 or 5 in payroll in the last 3, 4, 5 years, right? The Phillies spent. But I like the Dombrowski moves singularly. Like, Schwarber needed to come back, came back, great. I like the addition of Keller. Yeah. I like the addition of Garcia. But let me ask you, man, because I know you said you don't know, but I don't know that the Phillies. I can't say that the Phillies are better right now. The offseason ended with Justin Crawford, Brandon Marsh, and Adolis Garcia than they were with Brandon Marsh, Harrison Bader, and Nick Castellanos, and Brad Keller instead of Matt Stahm.
Yeah.
I just don't know that you're a better baseball team. So, like, my point is, John, something else needs to happen. Not something too major, too over the top, right? Like, everyone's stuck on the fragment. Something else has to happen, man. Obviously, we're assuming shit out. You have to find, like, if somehow Bader can come back, if somehow you can move Boehm and bring in a different third baseman, something else has to give.
As you're talking through it, it does. It's just it brings a question to mind as we think about the postseason experiences, because I don't think it's about getting wins or winning the division at this point with the Phillies,
and,
right?
And I think that's where their mind kind of is. Like, oh, we're a 96 win team. We're a good team.
But what I want to ask is, like, do we look back on these postseason experiences and do we say that we lost these games in the margins, or do we look back at these postseasons and say that the top of this lineup just did not show up in these bigger moments, especially the last 2 to 3 seasons after they made the World Series run?
Let's just focus on the last season, right? Let's forget the Diamondbacks collapse. Let's forget the Mets. You did not lose this Dodgers series because of your starting pitching. You did not let's be honest. You did not lose this Dodgers series because Orion Kerkering threw the ball over JT Realmuto.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Like, that's the big play that ends it, but that's not why they lost that series, right?
You lose because of that. So you didn't lose it because of your bullpen,
right?
Who am I going to blame it on? Am I going to blame it on Harrison Bader for being injured? No, I'm going to blame it on Bryce Harper and Trey Turner. And don't get me wrong, Schwarber had I think he hit a leadoff double, or a double in Game 3 in LA to start things. Like, he had a couple hits. That's who you point to, right? Yeah. So that's where all the change. So I'm glad you said that, because. Yeah. We can sit here and say, I can ask, well, are you better with Garcia than Cossey? Are you better with Keller than Stahm? At the end of the day, the margins have to produce, but it's not going to mean a goddamn thing.
Like,
Bryce is a no-show or Trey's a no-show.
The only way that Adolis Garcia it looks successful is if you have Bryce and Schwartz and Trey contributing amongst that in the postseason as well. Otherwise, sure, we'll look at Adolis Garcia as a whole, but why is it a whole? Let me take you
back to the 2023 World Series for the Texas Rangers. Now, Adolis Garcia, I believe, was the ALCS MVP. We all remember them big-time home runs. Adolis Garcia did not just carry the Rangers to a World Series. You know who else showed up and was big time for them? Oh, Corey Seager, the best player on their team.
Yeah.
You know who else was really good for them? I could go back. Maybe I'm tripping on his playoff stats. I believe Marcus Semien setting the play at the top of the order was very good.
Yeah.
I believe those guys, and then Adolis Garcia with the pop and the defense was a huge contributor. But like you mentioned, Adolis Garcia rips a 3-run home run. Like Teoscar Hernandez for the Dodgers. Teoscar Hernandez is very important. Are they winning a World Series if Ohtani doesn't wake up?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Now, Ohtani sucked for the first round and a half of the playoffs.
I jokingly thought when we made this Adolis Garcia signing, I thought Teoscar Hernandez, and I get it. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, Teoscar Hernandez has been very impressive for the Dodgers in that lineup. But to your point, he's not leading a team to the promised land.
I'm looking at that 5th to 6th hole power guy.
Exactly.
That's going to blast the 3-run home run when these guys get on base.
Yeah.
You're not winning a World Series because you signed Adolis Garcia.
Right.
You can help win a World Series with Bryce Harper and Trey Turner getting on and Adolis Garcia driving them in consistently. That's the difference. So, look, I like the moves Dombrowski and Middleton have made. Something else has to give. Something else has to come. You cannot sell this fan base on trading Matt Stahm just to save you money.
Yeah.
You can't do it. So it has to be a move that sets up a move.
Do you think they could sell us on health?
They could
like
try.
You're getting Wheeler back, and
they could certainly try. And I don't think they're totally again, I don't think they're the Phillies had the third best odds to win the World Series last week before these moves. The Phillies are going to be a 93+ win baseball team. If they don't win the NL East again, they'll be a while. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to sell out a lot of crowds. Yeah, man. Zach Wheeler, Christopher Sanchez, Jesus Luzardo, Andrew. Yeah, I get it. Johan Duran with Alvarado coming back from the suspension. I get it. But that's just not going to satisfy anyone over the course of the season.
Yeah.
It's just not going to. And
not when you look at other teams.
Then you're in this Sixers-y-ish territory of, I don't care until you prove me wrong. And that's how you start to lose the fan base a little bit. In a belief standpoint. So the problem, Scotty, is, like I said, they're going to sell all their merch. They're going to sell out so many games. And I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm not trying to sit here and pound the drum and say, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Boycott. Jesus, couldn't think of it. Boycott the team. It's not that. We're not anywhere near there. I'm just saying the Phillies can get away with just doing in the margins because we're going to show up each and every night. And they're going to make all their money. Yeah, no,
I feel you. It's interesting. I do wonder how long the tolerance is.
I don't know, man.
Or what you're talking about, you know, because it is a thing with the Sixers as well. And it's until Embiid gets over that hump, he is a playoff fraud or whatever you want to call it. I know he's been injured. I don't actually believe that, but can I argue against it? And that's where the Phillies are getting to, and it's annoying.
Think about all the guys. Think about all the guys. You mentioned NBA specifically. I said this a couple years to you when he was in the MVP race, because that's what people would rely on, right? He's a fraud. He doesn't show up, the playoffs, blah, blah. Meanwhile, his playoff numbers were still astronomical.
Yeah.
Giannis never did it until he did it, right? Before the Bucks win that championship a couple years ago. What was Giannis considered, right? Fantastic player, top 3 player in the league, top 5 player in the league. But until he won a championship, he had all those shortcomings in the postseason. Lute's getting swept by Miami, I believe, before they won the chip.
Yeah.
Right? Jokic before Denver goes and does it. He's got the MVPs, but they don't, whatever. That's kind of what it is for a large majority. Unless your name is Steph Curry or LeBron James, that's what you're dealing with.
Yeah, no, it's interesting when you think about the NBA and the MLB, because it is actually very similar. You got OKC, who, I mean, good luck. I don't think anybody's beating OKC in a 7-game series. I don't think that's happening, barring health concerns, right?
Right.
And I think that's kind of similar, to the Dodgers in a sense. I know that's how most of the consensus.
And you know what the sad thing is about OKC, bro? I know this is off topic, but you mentioned health, and it would either have to be multiple guys or it would have to be SGA. Dude, they could still win the chip minus Jalen Williams.
Yeah.
They could still win the chip probably minus Chet.
Agreed. Yeah. They
can't win the chip minus both.
That's a little too much. Yeah. But they are just so deep, bro. There's this kid, Nikola Topic.
This isn't sitting here oh man, I hope SGA gets injured so the league's more competitive. You lose SGA, I don't think Jalen Williams and Chet and those guys are leading you to a chip. I think they lose at that point. But
no, I agree.
I know I'm not saying I know that's not the biggest effing hot take you've ever heard. I just mean they legitimately could lose an all-star in Jalen Williams, and they're still too dominant to lose.
Yeah, they're too deep. They have an answer for everything. I mean, they have a second-year guy in AJ Mitchell that's averaging 14 points per game off the bench, but he was averaging 17 to 20 points while J-Dub was out. So it's
I said this to you before, bro. It's very annoying because they all fit perfectly and they're bought in, I guess. But you start throwing names to me like the Isaiah Hartensteins and the Isaiah Joes and the Alex Carusos, and these are guys that we wouldn't even have really cared for on the Sixers 3 years ago. If the Sixers made a move for Alex Caruso when he was leaving Chicago, we would have went what? Cool? That's cool, right?
Yeah. Because
we quite literally gave away Isaiah Joe 2 or 3 years after being in the league.
That was a flop. That was
Sure.
a mess up.
Sure.
That was a mess up.
But do you get what I'm saying? Like a guy
No, I get
don't
it.
want to say couldn't cut it here. Obviously, they misread the situation entirely, his talent entirely. But like a guy you just let walk out the door because you didn't see anything in him. None of the fans really cared about him too much then. And now he's a 3-point sniper for the best team in the league and the defending champs. So let's go over there. Let's go to the Sixers. They're back in action tonight. 3.5-point underdogs in New York. Obviously, like we said before, the Knicks coming off of that big in-season tournament, that NBA Cup win. By the way, Josh Hart, like I get like, listen, man, my friends do some questionable stuff, right? Especially when you're growing up, you and your boys do some weird, right? You stuck a finger up your boy's ass on national television. You saw that, right?
I did. It's odd to say the least.
I can proudly say I've never done that to anybody, let alone in the NBA on TV.
No, I don't know what that's about.
So what I'm saying is Tyrese Maxey has to go into Madison Square Garden and teach them a lesson, because that questionable behavior can't continue, and you win.
No, I feel you, man.
Looking at tonight?
I feel you. Obviously, you look at the Knicks. They, I think they've won seven games straight. They obviously won the NBA Cup championship. I do think they're a team. They can beat anybody in a one-game situation. I think when you have Jalen Brunson, the way he can play, obviously he can get you 30 to 40 on a given night. And then you have the proper pieces around them that, some of those guys can give you 20 on an occasional night. I think they're really good built. They're built really well. They complement one another. They've spent a lot of money. They spent a lot of draft capital to make it that way, but I think they've done a good job of roster construction. The big thing tonight for the Sixers, I think we just have to use this as like a barometer game. Like, this is how we can measure where the Sixers are at right now. Hopefully, and this is all with the thought that Embiid's going to play, right? He's got the illness now. I'm guessing it's the same one Maxey had last week. Hopefully he can play. Hopefully it's not like droopy, low energy illness Embiid, right? I would love to see Embiid that was out there playing engaged and rebounding and looking a lot better defensively the last two games. And then obviously Paul George, seeing what he was able to do in the last game where he had 35, putting that back with Maxey back in the lineup. VJ's been playing a lot better. So using this as a barometer game, this is NBA Cup champions. This is a team that was in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They're playing really well.
Knocked you out 2 years ago.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, good point. And they're a top team in the NBA, just to be frank. So anytime you're playing one of these teams, it's a good way to measure yourself and where you're at. They're on a tail end of a back-to-back. They played more than any other teams outside of San Antonio the last
week and a half. Yeah.
Right, in the NBA Cup. There's really I hate to use like the phrase of like must win or like need to win, but the Sixers, if they're a good team, they should.
Because you're in the territory of, if not tonight,
win.
What more leverage do you what other advantage could you possibly need to beat this Knicks team? Because this is a very, very, very good Knicks team. I'm not trying to downplay them at all, but this isn't OKC. Right. Like I don't think this Knicks team is even like a Denver or a Houston. Like, this is a very, very good basketball team. If I'm being honest, the way that things are going right now in the East, they should win the East. Like, we can get into that in a moment. Like, if not,
I do agree with that.
Not now for the Knicks. When are you getting to the NBA Finals?
Yeah.
But they're not right. They're not like this Goliath that you're trying to defeat tonight.
And look, in this coming into this matchup, man, obviously we need Embiid in tonight. He's game time decision. Mitchell Robinson, Karl Anthony Towns, Josh Hart, all game time decisions tonight. I think Miles McBride as well, but he's been out. These guys just played last night. They played.
So they didn't play last night. I know that. I believe Hart and Towns didn't
play. Oh, they did. Oh, okay. I see what you the Knicks played, but they didn't play.
Yeah, so like I know they're saving them for us. I know they're on the report, but I feel
they're gonna play.
They're gonna win because that was them sitting out the first half of a back-to-back.
They're gonna play. Yeah, that's a great point. Great call out. I did not catch that. They didn't play last night so that they could play tonight.
That's what I'm assuming.
Either way, man.
Missing something, but
either way, tail end of a back-to-back. Bigger thing would be Jalen Brunson, right? He's the star. He's playing on the tail end of a back-to-back. You can't let him come out and control the game tonight, right? So, yeah, I'm looking at the Sixers.
We haven't really seen it in a meaningful spot since in MSG 2 years ago in the playoffs, and that was not this version of number 0. Tyrese Maxey versus Jalen Brunson tonight, man, could be so fun. So I guess what I'm asking you now is we're at the point with what Maxey's doing this year where it's just a given, right? And maybe that's unfair, but like we're expecting Maxey to show up tonight.
Yeah.
Joel, whether he plays or not, there's still going to be a minutes restriction. There's going to be, in and out of the rotation, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's assume the Knicks are full go. Like we said, these guys just sat out last night. They're going to play tonight. So let's go to the margins. We just talked margins with the Phillies. Who for the Sixers? And I would say you can include Paul George. Like I think it's fair to include him in the margins, even though he's paid a lot of money to be above them. I would say that Paul George is a guy you can include in that conversation now.
And you're saying who in the margin steps up tonight, you think?
Win. Yeah, like who makes the difference, right? Like Brunson, Maxey, okay? Let's say Embiid, Cat. They have Anunoby, they have Bridges, they have whatever. This is who we have. Who kind of outplays the other guys for New York tonight? That's a great question. It's a great question. There's two to three guys that come to mind. I'll lessen it down to just two guys. The first guy you already mentioned, Paul George. I think tonight, this is a big night. As you just laid out that scenario, it all came to in my head, man. Like, this is a huge game for Paul George tonight because you got that matchup directly with OG Anunoby, who's been playing at an all-star level for the New York Knicks. Went off in that NBA Cup game against the Spurs and kind of led the way for them in that moment. And you've had Paul George playing really well against these lesser Eastern Conference opponents. You cannot disappear tonight in the Garden, bro. So, eyes are on Paul George, bro. He can prove that he's back by just being consistent. Give us 20 tonight. You don't have to give us 35. That restriction's gone. That restriction, he's played over 33 minutes, 32 minutes in each of his last 3 games.
That's a great point, man.
Since December has started for this team, Paul George is averaging 20 on about 29 minutes played, 46.5% from the floor, 55% from deep lately. 5 boards, 3 assists, right? So Paul George is playing at a very, very high level lately, obviously coming off 23 and 35 in the last 2 games respectively. Like you mentioned, you have done this against the likes of the Pacers and the Hawks recently.
Right.
This fan base, I don't think I could handle a Paul George meltdown well tonight. Like you said, like you're building yourself up against the Bucks that are beat up and the Wizards and the Pacers and the Hawks. The Lakers game, that was a big game. You scored 12 points.
Who does he become?
December.
Who does he become if he lays an egg tonight? And I'm not saying 0 points. I doubt he ends with 0. But if he has a horrible shooting night, anywhere from 9 to like 12 points in this game is horrible, in my opinion. He would be Tobias Harris.
Yeah, not just that, and Tobias and making more money and
making more money
out of him. And you texted me today just about you texted me this morning about the barometer, right? Because I do think you did say this isn't a must win, but it is a game. Like if not tonight, when are you going to be?
Yeah.
But I do understand if you lose this game. I think what I'm looking for tonight, if both teams are healthy,
needs to be competitive.
Very competitive, right? Like down to the last 2 minutes of this game type of competitive. You lose an MSG by a bucket at the end. It sucks, but who's going to freak out, right?
Yeah. I
think if that dude specifically has a down night, it brings the optimism of the future, like of this season down. Because so now, again, to our point in December, you're averaging 20. If you have a letdown spot tonight, you've played 2 good teams now in December, being the Lakers and tonight against the Knicks, and you will have scored 12 and whatever your output is tonight if it's bad.
Because for him to average 20, right, like he's had 2 big games and then he had that Lakers bum game. But, No, that's a great point with Paul George. And when you really think about it, bro, Embiid's coming in with an illness tonight, so not to give him it is an excuse. He's
No,
sick.
but an illness on a minutes restriction. How much is Joel
coming back
going to
from illness
dictate in this game?
Right, exactly. And Maxey coming back from illness, how long does it take for him to get ramped back up to those minutes that he was playing? Paul George is the healthy guy that needs to play at a top level tonight. And VJ. VJ's been playing really well of the last 2-3 games, I want to say. Averaging, I want to say, above 20 points per game. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's just the last 2 games, but he's been playing really well. Quentin Grimes was the other guy.
I literally have him pulled up right now.
Okay.
Quentin Grimes has been really good for this team. Like, this is not a hate on Quentin Grimes segment. At one point, he was averaging almost 18 a game. Right now, he's averaging just over 16. But, as good as Paul George has been in the month of December, Quentin Grimes has been not so good. And he has a very, very big game in Milwaukee on December 5th. He was 6 of 7 from 3, dropped 22 points. Now, outside of that in December, Quentin Grimes had 12 on 38% against the Warriors, 7 on 29% against the Lakers, 10 on 33% against the Pacers, and 14 on 28.6% against the Hawks. Quentin Grimes is not shooting the ball well right now. I don't know. Like, not only can Paul George not lay an egg, I don't know that you can withstand a bad Quentin Grimes night off the bench. Because I just don't know that you have another answer. I don't know that Nick Nurse is going to give Jared McCain the runway to go out there tonight if it's not Quentin Grimes night. I don't know that Jared McCain can even go and give you 15 plus right now.
He's not playing very well. So
VJ's been very good. Is VJ going to go get you 18 to 20 tonight? I don't know. Quentin Grimes and Paul George have to manufacture buckets tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think your point about VJ, it's like, how much do you lean on your rookie? Not to say that he can't handle these big moments, but you have these other guys for these reasons, right? He wasn't meant to come in and be a superstar for us. So I do agree. I will say Grimes, he's not shooting the ball well. He does need to be better tonight. He's been trying to contribute, I guess, in the other area. He's been getting involved in rebounding and passing, but we need him to be that scoring punch.
Yeah, right. To your point, he hasn't been so bad to where he's unplayable, right? He does get the effort to hustle.
He's not like Tobias. Like I say, Paul George, Tobias, like they're not like Tobias because they will rebound, play defense. They'll make those plays within the margins. They are better in that regard, but still,
agree.
Give us some consistency in the scoring.
I agree. Last thing to wrap up the show, man. Birds can wrap up the NFC East tomorrow night, late afternoon, 5 p.m. in Washington, taking on Marcus Mariota, who will be finishing out the season for the Commanders. Obviously, they have had an injury-plagued season, and it starts with the quarterback, so I'm not going to pile on too much to them. I would just like to give myself one of those because this is not a good Washington Commanders football team. And like I said, I understand the young quarterback got hurt, but who could have ever imagined you'd have a team dealing with a bunch of injuries where, like, the average age is like 37. Like, who would have ever thought that was in the realm of possibility? The Commanders are a bad team. They're 4-10. The Eagles, this is a little different than last week. You're not at home. You're on the road. It's not Kenny Pickett. Marcus Mariota is playing better than him, and he has been starting, unlike Kenny Pickett. Didn't have that time in yet. Commanders do have more from a talent perspective on offense than the Raiders do, right?
Yeah.
The Eagles have to go and control this game. I know it's a division game. I know Washington's trying to get, their lick back from the NFC Championship game, that bad taste. They're trying to play spoiler on us for at least a week or two. The Eagles have to go control this game. Now, I'm not saying it. No one's talking 31-0. No one's talking that. But, like, the offense specifically has to go and continue and make the strides they've made the last 2 weeks. Now, I know 2 weeks ago, the Jalen meltdown, but the offense looked a little more creative since Nick said he was implementing himself in it. It looked more creative last week, and they put drives together last week and scored last week. You have to continue that again. Yeah,
no, I completely agree with you, man. And, looking at thinking about Washington's offense when you said that, I immediately thought of Brock Bowers in that Raiders offense, and I was like, I don't know. Like Brock Bowers is a monster, but no, you're spot on. You got the names. You got Deebo Samuel. He's healthy. He's good to go. Terry McLaurin's good to go in this one. That's about but it is Marcus Mariota. He has experience. I'm not trying to, like you said, downplay this Commanders team too much. I guess what I was going to throw back to you as far as feeling on this game is this, do you think there's any chance of a letdown spot for the Birds?
Scotty, if there is a letdown for the
season's
Philadelphia
over.
Eagles tomorrow, I think the season's over. Because not that last week should have turned these people's minds around, not that last week should have turned your own minds around within the locker room.
Right.
Anything positive you did, albeit against a terrible team last week, goes right back in the dumpster if you have a letdown tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the time. You have not played solid football on the offensive end. I know all year, but really the last month and a half.
Yeah, it's been escalated last month.
Better last week, 3 weeks to go, 2 against Marcus Mariota and the Commanders.
Right.
This is the time heading into the postseason where you need to be building yourself up.
Yeah.
If there's any sort of a letdown tomorrow, the season's over. And a loss for sure. But man,
a close game. Yeah.
Okay, no, let me say this. Obviously, I'd be shocked with the way Vic Fangio's defense is playing.
Yeah.
I could live with a close, high-scoring game win. I could live with a 31-28 win. How the hell did the Commanders stay in it type of deal?
Yeah.
Because the defense, I think we have enough evidence to where, all right, like that was just a weird spot, a weird letdown by the defense, right? If they were to do that.
Yeah.
If the Eagles go out and win this game 13-6, where's your confidence at, dude? I mean,
yeah, no, I feel you. It's a great kind of a narrative to go into this game with, because at the end of the day, it is all about the offense right now. When I look at this game, the baseline of this game's expectations is that the defense will come out and hold this Commanders team under 13 points, under 14 points.
I mean, I would even be just so gracious. Yeah, I mean, if you hold an NFL team under 17 points, it's a very good day at the office.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. So I look at that as the baseline, and then if your baseline is your defense basically giving the other team, let's just say 17 points maximum. Yeah, let's say that's the max. Sure.
2 touchdowns and a field goal. Sure.
If the Eagles can't score more than that, then that is beyond a problem. Like, it's not just a problem; it's a fucking identity at that point. And the Eagles need to go out and win this game.
Let's get one thing straight. And I know that most people would recognize this. I'm not trying to, attack anyone and, whatever. If the Eagles came out and were in a 13-13 football game with 3 minutes left and allowed a 2-minute drill drive to Marcus Mariota like they did in Seattle versus Drew Lock, and they give up a touchdown and lose the game, that, I have news for everybody, that's not on the defense. I understand, man. How do you let Marcus Mariota go down in a 2-minute drill and beat you, right? If the Eagles have scored 13 points, that is on the offense. Because people will freak out. How do you let that happen? They scored 13 points. That's how they let it happen. So the offense specifically has to continue to improve. They have made a few nice strides the last 2 weeks. Did you see them mic'd up with Hurts and Sirianni?
Yeah.
Talking about this, under center and the scheme and everything. Good.
It's funny. I saw Nick Wright turn that into like a talking point for them not being on the same page.
I mean that's cool, bro. I mean, your Chiefs are at home, but okay, that's cool.
Can I tell you another thing?
Yeah. Sure.
Because you're spot on. It is mainly about the offense in this game. That's what we're getting at here. This Commanders team, right? It's not just the Commanders. It's not just the bottom of the division Commanders. They give up 26.8 points per game. They are 29th ranked pass defense, right? So I think even bigger picture, right? Passing offense has to be ready to go tomorrow. They should explode on this defense tomorrow. They should do it early.
What are they against the run? Do you have those numbers?
They are, I want to say 16th.
Okay, so they're middle of the pack against the run. They're very poor against the
I'm
run.
not saying go away from balance. I'm not saying that.
I agree with you. You have to stay balanced and all that stuff. But don't get me wrong, like the passing offense can't look bad against this defense. Like Jalen can't come out and struggle or turn the ball over or whatever. But if they come out and establish the run and Saquon and that offensive line gets right and Saquon has a great day and Jalen throws the ball 16 and he's 11 for 16 and for only like 138 yards, right? You know people are going to freak out. But if if the running attack runs for 240 yards with 3 touchdowns, I'm not going to be mad at the passing offense.
Yeah, no,
the way I'm mad at the passing offense is that they throw the ball 28 to 30 times and they're struggling. Then we have major issues.
I don't know. What do you think is the bigger concern going into the postgame or into the postseason? Excuse me, the passing offense or the rushing offense?
Is it weird if I say the rushing offense?
No, I think it is a close. I think it's a close call. I don't know. I'm not sure myself.
Obviously, you won the Super Bowl. You won that game specifically because without the rushing attack, right? Like Saquon had the historic year, and the Chiefs kind of shut that down. And Jalen's legs weren't too. Obviously, Jalen picked up a bunch of third downs with his legs, but like you get what I'm saying. He didn't have a 44-yard rushing touchdown like he did against the Rams.
Right.
So you won passing the ball and your defense was spectacular and scored and all that stuff. But what got you there was on the back of this offensive line and Saquon. Now, no one is asking for historic numbers. But Saquon, I saw something the other day that Saquon is only one of 2 running backs that has a minimum of like X amount of carries that have gone for 2 or less yards. Like I think he has over 50 carries this season that have gone for 2 or fewer yards. That's inexcusable on the offensive line, on the scheme, on him himself, on the rushing attack as a whole. That has to get figured out, man. Like I love Jalen, you know that, and AJ and Smitty, and sure, like I think they could win any number of ways, man. The defense can carry them. I don't know.
Yeah.
You have a much greater chance of reaching the Lombardi again if your rushing attack gets back on script. So that's what I'm looking at. But like you mentioned, man, like go out and beat this defense the hell up this week. They excel at nothing, and they're really bad at something. So go out and punish them for it. The defense, I think, will punish Mariota. Mariota's got a 10-7 TD to INT ratio. Go turn him over, go put him on his back a bunch, and continue dominating, and let this offense kind of cruise into the game however they like.
You said maybe not 31-0. The Vikings just beat the Commanders 2 weeks ago, 31-0.
It's a good point.
Oh, I'm not. It's not to say like, oh, you have to go and outdo the Vikings. Win. It's not like that to prove you're better than the Vikings. It's not like that. It's just more to say this team can be blown out. They don't have this incredible will that, drives them and keeps them in games and makes them a tough opponent. Even if it's a division rival, go out there and dominate them. Eagles -6.5 in this one, man. Obviously, there is a world where Commanders definitely could cover that. For my money, for my gut feeling, for the way I feel going into this one, man, I do think the Eagles ultimately cover the spread. I think they do get off on the offensive end as well. And I would really love to just see them continue to be creative with the way they balance the offense and the play calling.
And mind you, again, to kind of calm everyone down, like there's more that's wrong with this team than this, but this is an Eagles team that's still, hopefully, knock on wood, going to be 10-5 by tomorrow night. And they've been without Lane Johnson and Jalen Carter, like quite arguably the 2 biggest pieces on the team. So like they're going to get healthier, etc. Before we wrap up, man, we missed it 40 minutes ago about the Phillies have acquired left-handed relief pitcher Kyle. I'm going to assume Backus from the Diamondbacks for a minor league outfielder.
True.
I can see his delivery now. Obviously, I can't play it for you. Ridiculous, like sidearm, like sidewinder type of delivery. Jason Stark says Kyle Backus's delivery makes him one of the most extreme left-handed sidearmers in baseball. Has a filthy sweeper. So I think he had like over a 4 ERA last year. So I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that this dude, you know, a 4.62. He was a rookie last year though. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that this dude, you know, is some Matt Strahm-esque replacement. But it's another arm from the left side, so you kind of replace the left arm in Strahm for cheap, and it gives teams a different look, right? Like how many times have we watched the Phillies game where here comes this junk freaking weird arm slot angle delivery type of guy that we can't figure out. You bring him in a 6th inning, 7th inning with runners on, 2 outs against the lefty where you need 1 out, and he comes in and gets it out. So Dombrowski continue to make moves, man. Middleton continue to make moves. I'm not going to sit here and say that's the move. Like when we said Strahm's move has to be another move, I would hope that's not what that replacement is, like as term as team view. But nevertheless, good move. Like I think it could be a fun addition.
Yeah, we'll see what comes of it, man.
Yeah. All right. Let's get out of here and go enjoy the rest of the weekend, guys. There's over 50 people in here right now. And none of you are really commenting, which tells me that you're following along on the Twitter page. So do us a favor, do yourself a favor. Make sure to go over and check out the YouTube link specifically. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, share it, like the video. It helps us out greatly, and we appreciate each and every one of you. For myself, for Scotty, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will be back Monday breaking down all the action. Peace out.
Peace, everybody. Go.